What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. Be a Yu-Gi-Oh vendor, they said. Pre-sales are easy money, they also said. Well, side sets are no stranger to short printing. They're where we've seen some of the worst of it between the Secret Forces and recently our Evil Hero Chase pulls. But Mystic Fighters has some frightening ratios as well. Now, they're not super terrible except for what we're staring at here from the early case openings of Australian YGO auctions. So I have case ratio pulls for you guys from two different sources, Tier 0 and them, but keep in mind both of these sources are EU, and very recently we've seen that it can be way worse for the USA at times, or better, such as Legendary Collection Kaiba. Let's go ahead and get into ratios and then prices for you guys, as you've probably come to see both. Well, with Tier 0 and their case ratio pulls, we can see that there are 6 different shorts, and very similarly to YGO, Australian YGO auctions, we see that the Primath Mech Alam Bertian, I'm sorry, I'm gonna murder some names and be slow with them here, 32 total copies out of 10 cases. Each case is 12 boxes. So you're looking at around 3 per case. 1 out of every 4 boxes for this card. For side sets, that's still pretty bad. I believe with Fusion Enforcers, we're still seeing the chase cards in like every other box. And when we look at this here, this is a V-Jump imported promo that people are really looking forward to, not just for the Math Mechs, but also generically. It's gonna be overhyped, and only 32 out of 10 cases, that's pretty crazy, but we have the data backed up by our other opener. We also see that Boss Stage has around 8 per case. It's not as terrible, but when we see 18 per case on a lot of other cards, 19 per case, it's pretty glaring, isn't it? We also see the Generator, my bad, Boss of Light. It's around 5 per case, around 4 per case per Kitchen Dragon Maid, which is leading pre-sales for a lot of the pre-sellers right now. Nurse Dragon Maid, around 5-ish per case, and then we see Laplacian, the Primath Mech, around 6 per case. This is heavily backed as well, and like I said, by Australian Yu-Gi-Oh auctions. I've blown it up here for you guys. I'm sorry, I'm off the camera. For you guys to see that, well, they've actually pulled what seems to be a few less of the Albertians, and we also see that they're around the 5 to 6 mark on a lot of these, and then you see that Boss Stage is also around oddly 8 for them. So this weird middle point it ends up. I don't really get that, how that happens on the printing press, but okay. When we look at these ratios overall, the bar graph definitely tells like a different story, like than you having this pieced out spreadsheet. It tells you how bad it really is comparatively to pull certain cards. But when we think about the numbers, you're still getting a play set per case, and a core set, that's the average ratio for a secret. But from side sets, we expect a little better than this treatment. For a side set, we're chasing after what's probably not as impactful on the metagame of cards that are more fun strategies that could expand through core sets. Like, we get very few Tier 1 decks out of here. They're more interesting concepts and fun rogue decks to play that can really make it. Like, Prank Kids made it to win a YCS, and that's very exciting. A very underestimated time for it, where people started to take it more seriously, yet those prices fell out over time too. And the super rares, there's a couple of shorts, but I don't think that's the biggest deal when we talk about the supers. Like Laundry Dragon Maid, oh no, you're getting 11 per case. That's still almost 4 play sets, so I don't think that's a big deal. We see that Hospitality, also around 10 per case. That's still towards 3 play sets. And you see the average pull is like, you know, 30 per case though. So when you see that many play sets versus just like 3-4 play sets on certain cards like Math Mech Edition as well, maybe it'll impact the price long term. But it seems that Konami really went for shorting the Dragon Maids. They know what the Yu-Gi-Oh players have taste-wise, huh? They've studied their demographic. Math Mechs, not so much. Dragon Maids, ooh, they're gonna go after those anime girls. I don't know. This is just a weird feeling for a set that people don't necessarily have much to chase out of, rather than aesthetic of cards or really wanting to try something different. So when we look at the pre-sale prices, Tier 0 is winning most of them. They've already sold out of their Alimbertans. However I say this card, sorry, you can correct me in the comment section, it's fine. Kitchen Dragon Maid they still have in stock at 25. Ideal 808 sold out of this at 25, and you can use my code WhatsGood5 to get yourself some percentages off on these cards. But I don't know where these are going to land. I really don't know what to suggest with the short printing and how short they are versus people actually wanting to chase after these just for the artwork alone, along with, you know, some super rejuvenation hype. I don't think this is the way Dragon decks are going to go personally, but we'll see. They're just so interesting conceptually whenever we look at side sets, but they're not necessarily meta impacting. Nurse Dragon Maid here towards 15. We look at Ideal 808, they're a little more, and they're also sold out. So you can see they actually have their Alimbertans cheaper than Ideal 808 and haven't sold out. So the US market going a little more this way, while the Euro market going a little more makes sense for the hype, and at least in my opinion. But we see a lot of the prices over here on Tier 0 are cheaper. Ideal 808 also famous for pre-sales. They have the boss stage towards 13. I think they have boss stage a little bit cheaper, yeah, towards $10 with 5% off. And you get free shipping over here on Tier 0 over 50 pounds. You can, up in the top corner, switch it to US dollars and then pounds to see. And I believe they have a new qualifying for like tracked DHL shipping, which is what I use from Japan regularly, towards $110-ish. So if you order with friends and you're looking at Tier 0, there's definitely ways to get your cards faster and tracked in a way that, you know, crosses the border and continues to track. Definitely something you might want to consider in the future when ordering from them. When I look at this entire set though, like, this is what vendors have to do to try to make money. They have to try to up the price and up the price and up the price of their cards to try to get it. Like, Tier 0 doesn't do that. They either just accept their loss or they really try to piece it out where they think it's going to land. And that's why they're one of the biggest leaders in pre-sales. They don't try to juice as much. They try to just get their estimated value back from the pull, even if it's at a break-even point. And that's why you see them scrambling here. TCG player, I'm supposed to tell you to use that link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra and supporting the channel directly. But they're famously a little more expensive on pre-sales when we look through, and you can see the prices are up there for these independent vendors that are top rated, trying to make their money back. And like I said, I think the market's going to continue to go this way on pre-sales, which will make the fallout worse and worse, especially on side sets. Like, how many people are going to be busting this open at locals? Well, again, a lot of people keep telling me they want boxes of this, and I don't know why when I'm looking. Just buy the singles. Just do it. But get them the cheapest you possibly can. I think a lot of these will fall down in price after the release, if I'm honest. Except for maybe some of the short prints. Historically with sets, a couple of cards go up and the rest fall down, so making that call is very important. I think the generators are underestimated, but man, do they freaking fall to Ghost Ogre. And Ghost Ogre is everybody has access to that, so there's no excuses for this really invading the meta on a larger scale. The Dragon Maids, like I said, cool. And the Math Mechs, I've heard a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros are testing this behind the scene, but I don't know that it's going to pan out. So, like, go for what you're interested in based off the data, but don't overpay. Like, know your own price point. Know what you want to pay on these cards, because it's definitely way worse on TCG Player for now. But when the set releases is where the competition really ramps up. They're in everybody's hands. All the other independent vendors come out, and the major vendors have to undercut those prices to sell their massive quantities. That's where the true wins are. And you see a lot of these pre-sellers willing to sell their sealed packs after maybe having opened a few and having trouble getting to some of these cards. That is also pretty interesting. So my advice is, know your price, hold off on anything unless you truly think it has value to go up. I have an incentive to tell you to buy, and I'm telling you, hold your horses, make wise decisions. Though I hate to say it, but in order for vendors to make value back off the set, the only thing I could see going up is the Alimbertian and maybe the shortest of Dragon Maid's, Kitchen Dragon Maid. Like, the rest of it, I don't know. And famously from side sets, it's hard for something that's not in the metagame to hold $20 or more. So even these prices may be a little inflated. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I want to know what you're chasing after, especially after seeing these ratios. Are you going in on anything early, or are you going to wait and try to let it chill Do you think certain quantities are going to go off market like Albertian, or what are you really even like looking at this at? Are you looking for some super reprints for cheap? Because they actually did a pretty good job. I was surprised none of them were secret rare. Is this one of the first side sets where we didn't get some bumps into secret rare? I'm pretty sure nothing was pushed up in rarity to that, so that's also interesting. But let me know what you're after within the set, from the reprints to the actual cards, and how you think they'll actually impact the meta. Am I being too harsh? Do you think that the math mechs will pan out? Do you think the Dragon Maids do have that bigger potential and somebody just hasn't figured it out yet? Looking at the OCG, I don't know about that one, but we definitely do have a different metagame here than the OCG. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you find the information valuable, getting it out there so that you can make your own decisions. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to see, like, you know, in a side set, 3 per case ratios on a card. Like, that blows my mind.